I mean, I'm sure we've probably thought about that, not only with respect to our own individual relationships, but also the people that we coach or counsel, or even friends of ours, family members. Well, maybe you've experienced a breakdown or a breakup in your own personal relationship. In this episode, you'll learn better on how to understand why relationships go sideways and what to do about it. So we want to talk about that today. We'll be right back. Hello, ladies. You're live and direct. So, that's always exciting, isn't it? So we have a special guest with us today, and that's Emily McCarry. Did I get it right?
Oh, you got it right at the end there.
Close enough, huh? Yeah.
Close enough.
So, yeah. And of course, Karen, that she is with us today too. And so I always appreciate it when I have an opportunity to visit with people, because I really believe that my broadcasts are better when I have a chance to talk with others. So we know a little bit about Karen. Karen is a certified Beyond Betrayal life coach. Emily, just give us the quick kind of Cliff Notes version of your story.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my story, Kerry?
Yeah.
Well, the Cliff Notes version is I've had a couple breakdowns and breakups in my life, and I'm here at the end of the Beyond Betrayal course I've been doing with Kerry, and it's been incredibly beneficial to me, working through things and, learning the way and the reason why I communicate the way I do, and, why I've ended up in some of the situations I've ended up in. So it's been incredibly insightful.
Yeah, and I've just seen a lot of growth in Emily over the time that we've been working together. And so I'm proud of her, not only working through the program, but also having the courage to to join us on a broadcast.
So, I know.
Yes, exactly. I talked to her about maybe 15 minutes ago. I said, "Hey, I got a crazy idea. Why don't we try this?"
Yeah, right after I was sharing with him, I really want to work on my confidence. And a couple minutes later, he said, "Hey." So I'm like, "Okay, we can do it. I can do it."
Yeah. I really believe that you can. I got some, and if you can't, we can always edit it out.
That's okay.
So we got some slides I want to go through here. And years ago, I developed a relationship coaching program, and it's called Sideways Relationships. So it's when people's relationships go sideways, how to keep your relationships right and get your relationships right again. And I want to share a little bit about some of the insights that I've gained over the years. And you ladies, you can just jump in anytime you want to and ask me some questions. But let's begin kind of like walking through this presentation. And one of the things I wanted to do was to almost like create a GPS for people's relationships. And I don't know about you guys, but I know that it's helpful sometimes when you're going to a new place to have a GPS to help get you there. Although not all GPS are that helpful, Yeah. I heard a story once of a I think it was a family that they were following the instructions of the GPS, and they drove into a lake.
Oh my.
So I'm telling you right now, when the GPS is off track, don't follow it. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And also, normal traffic laws still apply. I actually was in the car with Joe Branco and Paula Branco when they got their first GPS. And
oh my gosh, I bet that was hilarious.
Joe was driving, and it said, "Turn right now," and he just. And they were like,
with no
there was a
reason.
stop sign.
So,
That's funny.
so Joe and Paula are Emily's grandpa and grandma. Joe has since passed, but just wonderful people.
Yeah.
So let's continue on with our slides here for a moment. So once you know where you're at and where you're going, the GPS is supposed to help you get there, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do with this this program. And it really, what it is that it's born out of many, many years of working with couples in crisis. And I began to see patterns emerging in those relationships. And so I just decided, hey, I'm going to distill all of that into a coaching program that people can find online. And so that's what I wanted to do. So let's go ahead and we'll get back to our slides here. So what we want to do, and you can't see it there, maybe I need to reduce my screen a little bit, but we'll just go with it for now. And so what we have here is that we want to find the route to a love that lasts, and a GPS can help you to get to that destination. Every couple, because I've officiated a bunch of weddings, every couple that stands before me when they get married, they're all starting out at the same place, and they all believe that they're going to end up where? Happily ever after. And I'm telling you, most of them don't get there. Far too many of them don't get there. So what I want to do is help couples to figure out, and help individuals really to figure out, what can I do to increase my chances of getting to that destination of a love that lasts. So that's where we all want to end up, is at that place with a love that lasts. My wife and I, we just this year celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary, and so I'm proud of that. There have been times when it was difficult, but in all honesty, it was really a pretty pleasant journey along the way. So let me go on to the next slide here. There's too many buttons for me to push. And let's see, there we go. So the route to a love that lasts is one route, but others end up miles apart. And they end up either in a breakdown in their relationships or a breakup in their relationship. And really the difference is the road that you traveled. And the crazy part about it is we don't even know we're on the wrong road oftentimes until it's has gotten crazy for us. So
yeah, I was thinking sometimes you think you're on the right path,
mm-hmm.
and then all that time goes by, and then you realize, I'm way off track. Yeah.
And while that is disappointing or discouraging, is that it's the old saying is that we can always learn from our mistakes and we can grow from them,
Yeah.
So, and when we begin to apply the principles of how to create that love that lasts, is that we're going to find our lives to be in a much better position. So let's talk about how things go off track. And the reason I am convinced of this is that the number one reason why things go off track, and let me just get this over here for a moment when we're talking about how things go off track. And the number one reasons why things go off track is couples have the wrong goal. And what they really want is happiness. Now, let me ask you this question. Why do you think, and maybe you're not convinced yet, but why do you think that that's the wrong goal to pursue in a relationship?
Happiness it comes and goes.
Yeah.
You know, there's times in your life where you're happy, and there's times in your life when you go through hard things. You know, it's not, happiness isn't a constant.
Yeah.
It's a feeling.
Yeah.
You know, it can be fleeting.
Exactly. Yeah. Karen, any ideas about that?
Yeah. I mean, there's no guarantee for it, and it's a expectation. If you think that happiness is the goal, then it's an expectation that you're not going to be able to attain either one of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Here's the reason why I think it's the wrong goal, is that it's not within your power to achieve, and it's also not within the power of your partner to give. You know,
Yeah.
I cannot make myself happy. You know,
Yeah.
but your partner can't make you happy either. Now that's a little nuanced, and we'll unpack that as we go along. But so what happens? The reason why people end up unhappy is because of mismanaged disappointments. I was talking with a therapist friend of mine, and we had a conversation about this. And I said, you know what, where I've landed on this is that now think about this, every relationship that ends up either in a breakdown or a breakup is because of some mismanaged disappointment. Some disappointment happened in that relationship, either through an offense. One of the partners in the relationship created an offense, or through circumstances beyond your control, life circumstances beyond your control, and then things begin to spiral out of control from there. So, and he said, he hadn't thought of it that way before, but I think he ended up agreeing with me. He since had retired and moved on. We haven't had conversations about that. But what do you guys think about this thing of mismanaged disappointments? That's really at the root of every sideways relationship.
Personally, for me, my two main relationships in my adult life, looking back on them, I can pick two big disappointments that could really be the main factor of those failing and them coming to an end. And one of them was the expectation of, making the other person happy. That's not realistic. So
Yeah.
definitely a mismanaged disappointment.
Karen, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, yeah. And I think it is, every relationship is going to disappoint you. But yeah, it's also the mismanagement of it. Like, how are you going to deal with it when it happens?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we're just not prepared. It blindsides us, and we don't know what to do or how to handle it. And you see that person in a different light once they've done something that's disappointing. And so it's hard to kind of like still view them as the person that you fell in love with, because that disappointment didn't happen before.
Yeah. It was after the fact. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, that's good. And that's one of the things that we want to do in these broadcasts, is to unpack how to and I loved what you said, Karen, about you see that person in a different light now. And and I want to help unpack how we can recalibrate our relationships in light of profound disappointment,
Yeah.
So, but but I don't know who said it. One of you guys did, but disappointments are inevitable. And young couples, when they are starting off in their relationships together, they kind of, I think that we have this naive expectation that our love can surmount all obstacles. But when the carpet gets pulled out from underneath us and we're laying there flat on our back, gasping for air, and then when we dust ourselves up and get up back on our feet, and like what Karen said, that we see the person in a new light or a different light, and it's not flattering.
Yeah.
So how do we move forward from there? But so one of the things that you have to do in order to manage your disappointments is you have to, or to identify when you're mismanaging your disappointments, is to learn to read the signs. And I begin to see these, I'm a slow learner, I really am, but I begin to see these correlations with all of these couples who were coming to my office and seeking some kind of like counsel or support or guidance on these things. And after a while, it just became evident to me there are certain things. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful before couples got married, they would know about these things? and now all of the couples that I work with, that I do marriage, and that I marry, I say, hey, I'm not going to work with you until we have a chance to talk about some important things, So, but so here's
Cloud and Townsend. They wrote a book called Boundaries in Relationships. And they recommend that you date somebody for like at least a year so that you can kind of see them through all seasons. And after I had some pretty horrible dating relationships, I not only decided to do that, but also enlisted a lot of outside people to like say, okay, what do you think of this person? Because I've had poor judgment in the past, and so I really put my husband through the ringer before we even got started. And he had to jump through a lot of hoops because I was really not looking to be in a lifelong commitment relationship with somebody who was going to end up just completely throwing me a curveball,
Yeah.
Not to say that it has not been a rocky road. There's still plenty of bumps in the road and hard times and stuff, but I think I dodged some bullets by listening to other people and taking time with it.
Yeah. So let's talk about these telltale signs. And we're not going to go through all of those in this video. As a matter of fact, we're not going to go through any of them, and that we're going to do that in the next video. But learning, and there's not a lot that we have to master. We only have to really figure out 4 of them, and once we figure out those 4, then we can determine whether or not our relationship is on the path to a love that lasts, or our relationship is headed for breakdown and a breakup. So one of the very first things that we have to do if we're going to get things back on track is that we have to abandon the the naive expectation that this marriage is going to make me happy. No. and I'm not saying, because marriage is a wonderful thing, and it really is. But having the expectation, kind of like putting all of your eggs into that basket, that this person is going to be the mini me, you complete me type of thing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
it also applies to like jobs and things like that. You think, or even having kids, you think, okay, this is what's going to make me happy. Well,
yeah.
you have to decide that you're going to be happy in order to be happy.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to finesse that a little bit. And what I'm saying is that in order to be happy, what we have to do is decide, I'm not going to be happy, but instead, my goal is to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to be healthy in all of my relationships. And I'm not talking about going out, to the gym and all of that stuff, although I do believe that, there's benefit in remaining, in preserving your health as long as you can. But learning how to be emotionally healthy, learning how to be relationally healthy, learning how to set healthy boundaries. There's a whole compilation of things that, you see, if you stop and think about it, happiness is elusive, but health is completely achievable.
Yeah.
To whatever level you can achieve it. Emily is a medical professional, and she deals with a lot of people who are in circumstances that are beyond their control. But what I'm saying is that even when you got to play the hand that's dealt you, type of thing. But even when you're in a circumstance where your health is compromised or jeopardized, you still can respond to that in the right way. Let me explain what I'm saying there, because I think that may be a little convoluted. Is that my dad was a diabetic for most of my adult life, or even my life as an adolescent. And my dad's approach to his diabetes was to ignore it and neglect it, other than take his insulin, his pills and his insulin and things like that. So what my dad would do is that if he wanted a piece of pie, then he would just double up on his insulin shots or whatever. And my dad had an extremely strong constitution outside of this compromise, this aspect of his compromised health. But towards the end of his life, everything started to compound. Mm-hmm. And I'm convinced that the end of his life would have been not as complicated if he had just managed his diabetes in a responsible way. So that's what I'm saying. You just gotta embrace the realities where you're at.
Yeah.
But you can respond to those realities in a healthy way, no matter what. See, yeah. I believe, and here's my operating thesis. I believe it's possible to have a healthy relationship with anybody, even a criminal. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, my healthy relationship with a criminal is, I'm going to love you from a distance. You need to be behind bars, and I need to be on the outside. And so that's a healthy relationship with a criminal, So you can have a healthy relationship with a liar, is that And a healthy person doesn't trust everything that a liar says. So no matter what you're dealing with, it's not dependent on the other person for you to make healthy choices.
Yeah.
So let's go back to our slides for a moment. Let's see if I got the right button there. There we go. Okay. Oops, wrong. There we go. So what we have to do is that there's an exit ramp from this road where all of these warning signs are. So the first thing we got to do is trade happiness for health. And the second thing that we have to do is that decide, I'm taking the exit ramp, even if you don't. You see, your partner can decide to stay sick, but don't let their sickness infect you.
Yeah.
That you can be healthy even with, there's a healthy way to be in relationship with a sick person. We'll talk a little bit about that. So let's see, where am I? So then what we have to do is that we have to kind of go back to the beginning, and not only do we need to decide to be healthy and decide to, I'm going to learn how to manage disappointments well, and so I'm going to take the exit ramp, and then we just start adding in the components that will help us to get there. Hey, here's a question, is that how do we respond to an off-pace partner? So in other words, when your partner's not on the same page as you are, and you've decided to become healthy, how do you respond to an off-pace partner?
Yeah. Well, you can't force them.
No.
And you can't drag them along, but you can have patience with them. And I think that hopefully they'll see that the way you're doing things is better, and that they want that for themselves.
But also, if they don't,
also you need to set up some boundaries that you're not gonna stay in that, but keep moving forward.
Here's a saying that I always remember, is that you get what you tolerate.
If you tolerate,
you've heard that before.
And it's so true. Very true.
You tolerate abuse, you get abuse. You tolerate name calling, you get name calling. You tolerate lies, you get lies. You tolerate empty promises, you get empty promises. You always get what you tolerate. Okay, so we're almost done here. And so when it comes to getting back on track, you have to incorporate love building practices. And just like there are certain telltale things that will show you're on the wrong path, there are also certain love building practices that show you're on the right path. And in the next broadcast, we'll talk more about those, or maybe it's the broadcast after that one. Okay. So we're not going to go into the details right now. But what I'm saying is that this is completely doable in any relationship. It's completely doable. Now, does that mean the relationship will work out? No. But it does mean you can have a healthy relationship with that person, even if you have to love them from a distance. and quarantine them from your life. So, all right. So here's the real possibility. Right now, you might not be feeling too hopeful about the chances of making it with your partner, and in some cases, you probably won't. But that's okay. You don't have to, but there is always hope. And by entertaining that things can get better once you apply the principles of being a healthy person and building a healthy relationship, things will change. And so there is real hope. And it always changes. I guarantee you that. It always changes. When you get healthy, everything changes when you change, even if they don't. So it's a fact. Every relationship, even the good ones, faces problems. But people who build strong relationships know how to recalculate and to stay on course when trouble comes. That's when a good GPS can help, along with a willingness to take the journey. So what we've done is we've built the GPS, but we can't drive your car. You know, you have to take the journey. And so it's time for that journey to begin. One last slide, and then I'm going to wrap it up. But first, I want to talk with you ladies a little bit more about stuff. But one of the things that we got going on is that we have our free conflict management webinars coming up. And that's to help you to learn how to travel the freeways of conflict. And that's coming up on August 8th at 11 a.m. And you say, well, I can't make it that time. That's cool. If you can't make it that time, then register and you get free access to the to the replay. But I do believe that this information that you'll learn in that webinar can really make a difference in your life and in your relationships. Ladies, before we wrap up, anything that you'd like to say, any comments that you'd like to make? No?
I think the main thing with this GPS and, when we get off track are those expectations and those boundaries. That's good in a marriage. It's good in friend relationships with your family. Those are good, healthy things.
Yeah. Good. Karen, how about you? Anything?
I think it's good to look back and see why you got on the road with this person to begin with. And remember that you felt like that it was worth it for better or for worse back then. Yeah. And even though this is worse than what you were thinking it was going to be, there's possibility for it to also be better.
Yeah. And there is a possibility for it to be better if the other person wants it to be. And that doesn't mean that that every we shouldn't treat every misdemeanor like a felony, but there are felonies, and there are felonies that will kill relationships. And so we have to be wise about that. So, I appreciate you both. I truly do, and I am grateful that you guys and Emily, I have to give you props because you didn't know what you were getting yourself in for.
Did you plan this today?
No.
Premeditated? No, I'm just kidding.
No. But it has been wonderful, and I hope that this will not be the last time that we see you on one of these broadcasts.
It won't.
Good. So, hey guys, stay on camera just for a moment. I want to wrap this up from my side, and so then I'll be back with you. So I hope that you will find the way forward in your own life and relationships. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. And we have this whole Beyond Betrayal program. And you can find us online. But you also, probably one of the best places to join us is on our in our Facebook group at beyondbetrayal.org. And so it's a private group, but we post all of our content there and some additional content that you don't get in some of these other public trainings that we do. So that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.